Hi everyone, I'm Belly, and this is my real story. Please like and subscribe to hear more interesting stories. I hope you guys enjoy it. This is my best friend Mike. We both started school at the beginning of the term. Neither of us had any friends because we were both new. At first, we sort of felt we had to stick together. But when we realized that we were getting along well, our obligatory friendship became real. One night, I heard a sound while getting ready for bed. At first, I didn't know what it was. When I heard another clank, I realized it was coming from the window. When I opened it, I looked down and saw Mike. Mike loves surprises, so I thought this was one of his funny games. I opened the window wide and said with a laugh, "Hey, you realize I'm not your joke, right? I don't have long hair I can let down, so there's no way you can climb up to my castle." But I was shocked to hear the panic in Mike's voice. "Baby, open the door, please hurry. I need to come in now." I went downstairs to let him in. He was panting, so I figured he'd been running for a while. Was he running away from someone? Mike is my best friend, but I have to admit that there's something odd about him. For example, he comes to our place all the time, but he's never invited me to his house. Not even once. I didn't even know where in the city he lived. Once, I asked him what his father did for a living. He didn't answer. I thought he didn't hear me, so I repeated my question. He just stared at me absent-mindedly. "Which is faster, Flash or Superman? Who would be who?" he asked. It was a weird change of subject, but I answered, "Definitely Flash." Obviously, he didn't want to talk about his parents, so I didn't push him. I gave Mike a glass of water and led him up to my room. He held the side of his belly. "I've been running for an hour. I'm exhausted. I almost collapsed to the ground," he said as he sat down. I was so worried I forgot to answer. Mike snapped me to attention. "Are you going to ask me why I was running?" "Would you even tell me if I did?" I asked. He laughed. "I realize I can be mysterious sometimes, but I'm not that closed off. Of course I will. I was running from some people." I asked him from who. He looked at me dead in the eyes and said, "Let's say from now on, until the end of your life, you can only eat one food." What food would that be? Pick one. He got me again. I shouldn't have asked. I knew you were going to hit me with your weird questions. I laughed as I fake punched his shoulder. Mike laughed back and removed his phone from his backpack. He groaned, "That's why I couldn't tell you I was coming." "You got a charger?" We talked about everything and nothing the rest of the night, just like we always did, laughing so hard at each other's jokes it hurt. "Can I stay over?" Mike asked. "You know you don't have to ask," I replied. When I woke up the following day, he was gone, but he'd left his phone behind along with a note. "Forgive me, Belly. I need to act mysterious for a little longer, but I promise to tell you everything. Hold on to my backpack for a bit. You can give them my phone, but please don't let anyone touch the bag." I didn't get it. Why would Mike leave his stuff with me? Plus, who would want his phone? What was he hiding in the bag? "You have no right to keep me in the dark like this." I was so annoyed I couldn't help but speak my thoughts as if Mike was right there in front of me. I took the backpack and unzipped it, too curious to stop myself. I needed to know. When I opened the main pocket, I couldn't believe my eyes. It was a chock full of money. I'd never seen this much in my entire life. How could Mike have possibly found all this money? Was my best friend a thief? I opened another pocket filled with more bills. I held one up to get a closer look. Yes, my best friend Mike, he has too much money in his bag. Suddenly, my dad opened my bedroom door with a concerned look on his face. "Belly, there are people at the door who want to see you." "Who?" I asked. "You should come downstairs. It's important you see for yourself," he replied. My dad was right. I was shocked to see who my visitors were. It had been only 5 minutes since I'd seen my best friend's backpack. Now, a group of strangers was questioning me. I went back to my room and sat on my bed, confused about all that was happening. There was a vital decision I needed to make. "Think, Belly, think," I muttered to myself. How was I know what was right and wrong in this situation? Then I remembered Mike's note on table. Immediately, my phone started ringing. I didn't recognize the number. It had been such a crazy morning that I was scared to answer, but I accepted the call and waited for the voice on the other line. Did they come? I was relieved to hear Mike speaking. "Yes, they did," I said excitedly. "Do they have my phone?" "Yes," I answered. "Good," he said. I knew they were going to track the signal and come pay us a visit. I bought myself some time by removing the SIM card so I could disappear. I put the SIM back in just before we left. I'm sorry I dragged you and your family into this. His voice weighted with sadness. I was going to tell you everything. I was just waiting for the right time, that's all, Mike added. Before I could say anything, he added, can you do me one more favor? I need the money in the bag. I can't escape without it. Bring the bag to the mall tonight. We'll be the safest in a public place. Yes, I said in a fake accent. I didn't care if Mike was a thief. I still had to tease him a bit. After I hung up, I opened the backpack again. Then I rushed to the mall. Mike flashed me a shy smile when he saw me. I could tell he was feeling guilty. As I returned his bag, I had to ask, I know now why you left your phone, but I don't get why you didn't want to take the bag with you. Mike said, I'm kind of proud. I shook off the agents who were chasing me that night, but it would have caused problems if they had caught me with all that money. I figured I could trust you with it. When he put on the backpack, I realized it was time for him to go. But there was one more thing I needed to do before he left. Please don't be upset with me. I'm doing this for your own good, I said, putting both of my hands in the air. That was the signal. Suddenly, a group of agents formed a circle around us. Mike's jaw dropped as he struggled to process what was going on. And just like that, Mike's mother appeared. Earlier in the day, she had visited our house. She was wearing her long dress. She opened her arms wide. My dear son, I've missed you so much, she said. Mike looked at her with anger in his eyes, but the anger slowly faded as she approached. He ran to his mother and embraced her. He must have missed her a lot. How's father doing? He asked. He's still receiving treatment, she replied. The doctors say he can't travel. Say goodbye to your friend. Your father needs us. Our plane awaits. Stopping Mike from escaping filled me with dread. What if he was mad at me? Mike turned to me. Thanks for doing this for me. I don't think I could have run for the rest of my life. And more importantly, my father needs me. He gave me a huge hug and said, My birthday is next month. You're invited. I'll send a private jet to pick you and your family up. I was so relieved Mike wasn't mad at me. Of course, I laughed. I'm sure you're curious about why Mike had escaped in the first place. You remember how my dad had walked into my room telling me we had guests, right? Mike's mother had come to visit us. She told me everything after introducing herself. Mike is from a rich family, but he isn't happy with that because his dad abused him many times. Mike didn't enjoy being at home. He was bored all day. He had to deal with every issue in his home, one by one. Finally, he'd had enough. One night, he fled to the US and enrolled in public school. When his family found out that Mike was missing, they searched the entire globe for him. In the US, they worked closely with the FBI, but his dad had suffered a heart attack suddenly. Then his mom asked me to help them after telling me everything. That's why it was so hard to make a decision. Should I help his mom or should I keep Mike's secrets? After thinking it over, I knew that Mike would make a great decision with enough time. When my family finally visited him for his birthday, I could see Mike. He lived in a gigantic palace. His birthday celebration was legendary. There were parties every night for an entire week with constant fireworks in the sky every night. I was so proud of my friend when I saw how much his mom loved him. Not his dad, of course. As Mike and I walked around the city, it's incredible that Mike said he likes me. I was surprised, but I like him too, eventually. We love each other after all and live a happy forever.